on the drive. Are we able to redo it? It's not able to restart. Can you create a new stream? It's not coming up?
I know, I saw that.
I have my slides. Sorry, guys. What? There should be a second. Is it set for? I'm just waiting for him to find my deck, but if we need, I can plug in a different laptop. But is this a different link, though? How do I find the link to this? This is the stream URL. I don't know if this link works, but. Wait, but how will this be a URL? Can you just start like a live stream right here? Any Kavi Global live stream? But then I need the YouTube link in that meeting. You can exit. How do I share this link as a YouTube link? How do I get this link? This?
Yeah, that's it. We can share the link.
No, thanks. That's okay. Okay. Thank you. I think so.
You do? You have sound?
Oh no, I don't have sound. Will you check it? It's working now, right? Okay, cool. Should we start now? All right, thanks everyone for your patience. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but really excited to join you here today. I'm Naomi Kaduwela, the head of Kavi Labs at Kavi Global, and thank you to all of the hosts for putting this amazing event together. It's been a fantastic day with so much great thought leadership content and networking opportunity here. It's always a pleasure for me to come speak at Northwestern MLDS. As you know, this is my alma mater. So today I'm going to wrap up all of today's talks with what I hope is a fun and exciting session, kind of showing you the art of the possible all around, how Gen AI infused digital knowledge workers are shaping the future of work in manufacturing. So this is a super exciting topic, and let's dive in. So today, in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to take us through an overview of the industry landscape, a little bit of the current state of the manufacturing industry, and then I'll be talking about the digital knowledge worker and the future of the human-machine collaboration and how that's really changing the future of work in manufacturing. I'll take us through some enterprise Gen AI success stories so we can see how some of these Gen AI infused digital knowledge workers are making a lot of impact in the manufacturing space. And we'll wrap up with some holistic, more broad applications of Gen AI that we're seeing across the entire manufacturing industry. And I'd be remiss if we didn't touch on some of the challenges as well as opportunities, so we'll wrap up with that. So in the current state of manufacturing, we really see three key focus areas for a lot of the different enterprises, and that is, first, improving design and quality of their products. Everyone wants to make sure that the designs that they're coming out with are robust, cost-effective, and minimizing the carbon footprint. They also want to ensure that products are high quality, that we're not having early life failures of these products that are creating bad experiences for customers. Next, they're really focused on combating the labor shortage. There is actually a crisis going on now in manufacturing with regards to getting enough knowledge workers. And here today, you're gonna hear me use this concept, but in the manufacturing space, the knowledge workers are basically those inventory planners, production planners, quality managers that are overseeing these different processes and aspects of the manufacturing enterprise. And finally, the last key area is really around reducing costs. I think this is top of mind for every industry. But here you can see in manufacturing, the first two itself, by optimizing on them, by improving the design, improving the quality, by having less failures that you then need to go resolve, as well as by making your team more productive, more efficient, you're actually going to be able to reduce those costs. And you'll see in the next slide how we attack this and our approach to combat the labor shortage. So here you can see the concept of the digital knowledge worker. So this is our answer to operationalizing analytics, which is a question a lot of the CIOs have been asking across the enterprises. It's not enough to just build a model. You have to think about how is that model going to be integrated into the process? How is that model going to give the right insight to the right person at the right time to be able to make that decision? And how are you going to explain it in a simple, easy, user-friendly way, especially someone who may not be as technical as you as a data scientist building that model, right? So here we have to think about how do we operationalize those analytics, give those meaningful insights to the people at the right time that they need it. So just to dig a little bit more into this concept of the digital knowledge worker. So what is the digital knowledge worker? This is a combination of an intelligent application and a knowledge worker. So again, as I mentioned, the knowledge worker in the manufacturing use cases are the production planners, the inventory planners, the quality supplier engineers. So all of these different people. And the intelligent app, you can see the Venn diagram here on the left. This is the combination of an intelligent app plus all of your enterprise data coming together, plus the analytics embedded into that application. And you can see a lot of places where this might be useful. So anywhere where you have complex business processes, anywhere where you have multiple touch points, you might be gathering data from multiple systems, you might have to have a forecast algorithm, you might have to have an optimization. Those things, we want to delegate it to the machines. We want to let the machines do what they do best and automate that. And then we see the emergence of humans kind of evolving into this higher value, more creative, more strategic type of role where they can now oversee the outputs and make sure that they're monitoring the metrics on those applications that they have running to make sure things are going smoothly. So they move into this more supervisory role, and they're also able to do more with their time because a lot of things are automated. A lot of the tedious, repetitive tasks that are error prone, we actually want to move the human from those tasks and allow them to do the tasks that they actually enjoy, the more strategic and creative tasks. So this is kind of the concept, and here we're going to go now into several applications of Gen AI infused digital knowledge workers and how they are shaping the future of manufacturing. So we'll cover a variety of enterprise use cases, from product design to conversational preventative maintenance to intelligent quality. So pretty exciting. Who's excited? Ready to dive in? Yeah, we still got some steam right here on the last talk. Just me between your happy hours, so bear with me. So the first one here, enhancing aircraft design at Airbus. So this is a super cool one where we're using Gen AI for product design now. So here they were able to use Gen AI to create more efficient, more comfortable jetliners. They were somehow able to optimize this aircraft components, reducing all the costs and accelerating their design process. So this is really a cool tool now in product design, being able to use your generative AI, and we're going to see this today in a multitude of manufacturing enterprises and how different products can be designed. But as you can imagine, this ties to some of what we were talking earlier. Now the pace of innovation is accelerating, right? The pace of delivery is accelerating. Now that you can use Gen AI, you can more quickly come up with a lot of different components. But then, of course, you need that human in the loop, and you need to put the testing in place to make sure, hey, these parts are actually still reliable, still sturdy, and we're going to do that manual checkpoint before we go ahead and release anything into production. But it's definitely a great tool to accelerate the design process, is what we're seeing so far. Another similar use case here in the automotive manufacturing side, where Gen AI can create thousands of different variations, and here they're optimizing for lightweight and structurally efficient components, and they've been able to do this. So another exciting area where they've played with some brakes and other key components. Next is a pretty fun spin on a topic that I know gets a lot of attention, and that is conversational predictive maintenance at Siemens. So here we see a really cool use case where they kind of have combined the IIoT, the Internet of Things, the connected devices, the sensors, and they're basically feeding in the telemetry data from their different manufacturing assets. And they've been able to, using standard predictive machine learning techniques, able to predict the failures. But now the cool part on top of this, where the Gen AI comes in, is, hey, now I want to add a conversational layer on top of that, right? I want actually not just to be alerted when there's a failure to just get an email or a text. I want to actually be suggested some proactive solutions that I can actually take action. So now this is, again, enabling a conversational layer for the field engineers who are going to now need to take some action. So again, this is reducing unplanned downtime because, of course, you're integrating with a lot of the forecasting and predictive models here to predict that failure before it happens, so you can actually prevent that downtime, which will, of course, result in increased equipment utilization and overall more productivity, more product coming out of the plant. So just fantastic use case. We're also seeing Gen AI delivering amazing value, accelerating the drug discovery for pharma manufacturers. So here we can feed in tons of data about chemical compounds, and with these libraries, it's actually able to suggest novel compounds with different therapeutic effects, and they find it's, again, accelerating drug discovery to a faster level. But healthcare, pharma, again, these are highly regulated industries, so I think it's going to really come back to the human in the loop and thorough regulatory testing of these products that are recommended. But definitely a great tool to use in brainstorming, and potentially if there's novel ideas that maybe we haven't thought of yet, it seems to be coming up with. This one is a really fun one. So if you haven't heard of it yet, Kala seems to be having a tool where you can launch your clothing line with a prompt. So here again, you see Gen AI at work, where you can simply put your ideas textually and your designs will be brought to life. So now you're really streamlining the entire supply chain. And again, you can see how Gen AI is transforming a lot of industries where perhaps you need fine skills and talents, but now you don't have to spend years and years necessarily perfecting that craft, you can actually use technology, use some of these tools, and still bring your ideas to life. So it's really making a lot of different things like fashion design accessible. If you have a desire, if you have that creative mindset, if you're willing to play around with the tool, do some trial and error, basically a lot of new avenues are opening up for people. Next, we see it coming into our everyday products, right? Samsung integrating Gen AI capabilities in the Galaxy S24 series with some real-time language translation, with different advanced photo editing. So I'm an iPhone user, but shout out to the Samsung for this on promising transformative user experiences, right? So we can really see Gen AI is becoming a daily norm. It's now at our fingertips, and I think more and more, especially in the younger generations, they're using it. And that's why critical features like these have been integrated into the phones now, because there does seem to be a demand for this. The photo editing capabilities I know are really fun. If you haven't seen of them yet, you can upload photos and basically whatever you imagine, hey, I want a castle behind, you can add it, or most notably, cropping the other people in the photo out. So many cool, fun features now that we just are taking for granted as part of our phone and camera features now. So all in all, to wrap up, I'll just touch on some of the different wheel of data analytics and AI, Gen AI use cases here that are powerful and high impact in manufacturing, but we've seen many use cases of next-gen product design. Again, how can we use these to inspire more eco-friendly products, more sustainable products, and then optimize production planning, right? This one is, again, inspired by the Siemens use case, but this idea of adding a conversational layer on top of this, right? And many of these, the current state of manufacturing is, many of them are moving into cloud. Many of them are getting their enterprise data together and doing some level of predictive analytics. But I think now there's a great opportunity to operationalize that, right? And how is that? That's by putting a conversational user interface on that. So your production planning forecast, how can you work with your production planners in a more conversational way? Same with the quality team. To ensure quality control. How can we have intelligent quality control that's automatically looking at things and identifying issues and suggesting improvements? Same with advanced supply chain management. We had a great speaker on this earlier in the day, but so many great opportunities that we see getting optimized there, and just having visibility, being able to discuss and have that conversational layer. Hey, when is my inventory gonna run out? When should I restock? So some fun use cases that we already covered this morning. Next, we really see a big focus area on knowledge management and the customer support, right? So within an organization, they have so much data, structured data as well as unstructured data, many documents, contracts, preventative maintenance manuals. So how can we make all of this enterprise data organized and kind of use it in an efficient and effective way? That's where the knowledge management comes in, right? So codifying all of that, having it in cloud, using things like OCR to extract the text from your PDFs and make that stored. And then how can you have a conversational layer that's trained specifically on your enterprise data? Then you can actually open it up and have customer-facing chatbots that are able to take the first line of Q&A with your customers. Of course, again, we need to be careful here. We've seen some flukes go in the industry where chatbots have taken control and offered pricing, and then companies need to commit to that. So again, there's a big importance around building in the different guardrails as we implement these tools. But I think, again, knowledge management and using that knowledge to train a chatbot that can basically be customer-facing as well as for your internal use, right? To support you as you go through preventative maintenance activities, to basically put an easier interface on all of those old PDF manuals. Finally, that's kind of drilling into it, but conversational predictive maintenance. We saw that with the Siemens telemetry data, having that IoT data come in, using your predictive analytics, but then on top of that, having that conversational layer. So I think we've seen the mass adoption of this over the past year or so, and that's really because the expectations have changed now from the consumer side, and I think that expectation is also being transferred into the business side. They just don't want to wait to find out information anymore. They want it at their fingertips, and they expect it to come from a conversational UI type of format. So to wrap up, some challenges and opportunities, guidelines and guardrails, I think these are clear as we use some of these models. We need to make sure safely, ethically, that they're going to be used, and we're not going to hinder, the company by leaking information or by, accidentally crafting deals with clients that we're not able to honor. So we need to put those guardrails in front as we use these tools. We also, especially in the manufacturing side, need to think about the skills transition, right? There's a lot of fear, especially in the manufacturing side, about AI, replacing jobs. But there is so much opportunity for AI to enhance jobs, and having AI in these is opening up a lot of different other types of jobs, So there's a lot of training, retraining, skills transition that also needs to go on as we adopt these tools and technology into the enterprises. We need to think about how are the roles in those enterprises changing? How do we need to reallocate people? How do we need to retrain people for those new jobs? So that's part of the skills transition. But all in all, it's really exciting because I think what we see most is how AI, and especially Gen AI, is bringing democratization, right, of data and basically enabling users to bring whatever's in their mind to life more easily. And that is what's resulting in this rapid adoption and rapid evolution and rapid innovation generation that we've been seeing just exploding out from this Gen AI movement. So it's an amazing, fun time. With that, thank you so much for listening. I know we're wrapping it up for the day, so feel free to scan the QR code, follow me on LinkedIn. Love to connect with all of you on data analytics and AI. Feel free to reach out. Our company is there, as well as my contact details. So feel free to reach out to accelerate any data analytics and AI initiatives. Thank you all. If we have time, I can take some questions. Looks like we're cleared for questions.
Naomi, awesome presentation.
Oh,
really
thank
good,
you.
just great content. And something, that I want to ask a question. I've heard a lot about Industry 4.0. And, I'm wondering if you could maybe just expand on that term a little bit more. Because it seems to be, just very, 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 very prevalent, something that's used a lot. It's related to manufacturing.
Yes.
Love your perspective on it.
Yeah, I think this is a great one, kind of in line with the idea of like brilliant factory, brilliant manufacturing, and I think just having that end-to-end visibility. So manufacturing is completely transforming with all of this data coming in, and as a lot of these manufacturers become more and more automated, there's basically more and more assets, right? So think of some automotive manufacturing. You have assets on those lines, and a lot of that is being created on its own in an automatic fashion, right? And from each asset, you can pull so much data, right? So you can start to monitor the productivity. You can predict the failures. You can know, hey, I got to re-plan for this because this line is going to go down, so I'm going to plan for preventative maintenance here. So it's about connecting all of that enterprise data, kind of creating that the digital twin, right, of all your assets, of your production, and bringing all of that together, I think is really what they mean when they say about Industry 4.0, kind of having that holistic visibility. And that's, I think, not just a game changer, but it almost becomes table stakes in today's game. You absolutely need to be thinking about, bringing in some of that automation and adding the analytics on your floors to look at the throughput, to look at the quality, have those real-time alerts that, hey, there's a defect, to make sure, hey, the rest of the batch isn't going to be impacted. So the more analytics you have, the more real-time it is, the better strategic and competitive advantage they have. So I think that's a key theme and really exciting topic. And yeah, everyone is driving the digital transformation towards just that in manufacturing. That's the goal they're trying to achieve. Yeah. Great.
So a lot of the cases you were showing really seemed like they made sense for very large organizations where there are those economies of scale that have wealth of data. Do you see the growth of Gen AI and AI tools making it harder for smaller manufacturers, kind of the smaller players in the space?
At this time, it does seem like there is, quite a high cost to running some of the Gen AI. It can be very expensive on the cloud. So at this time, I would say we mostly are seeing a lot of the bigger players getting into it. And yeah, I think it can be hard for the smaller players. But that said, in many cases, the smaller players become the underdog, right? Because they're forced to compete with that innovation and that pressure. So how can they, leverage open source, and how can they be creative to also compete? I think we'll see. I wouldn't say it's, all lost for them. But yeah, I think it definitely right now, the big enterprises that have a lot of funding, that can throw millions of dollars of investment in these, are definitely the early adopters that you're seeing here and having a lot of the results that they're ready to go public with.
Thank you so much
Yes.
for the presentation, Naomi.
Thank you.
I worked in a manufacturing environment on automotive for quite a while.
Yes.
And I think one of the big challenges that a lot of people were talking about is, and that goes hand in hand with like the qualification and skill set, but who do you think should be designing and building these new tools, for example? Like, should it be some central like hub that has all the information, that hires the most qualified, experts on AI and building AI systems? Or should it be, more and more of the people in sales, in business, in planning, that definitely have to learn how to use the AI tools, but should they also be trained to be more and able to build their own systems? Or would this, as you call it, like data democratization, also lead to like conflicts? Because if everybody is building a solution, then you kind of have this fragmented place again, and you don't really know what to trust if there are like competing solutions out there.
So I think you bring up a great point, and I think a lot of enterprises struggle with this issue of, should we centralize the analytics team, or should we, have it within each of the teams? Sometimes then they get called out as shadow IT. But I would say, for me, coming from things that we always use a human-centered design approach, right? And I think a lot of the times you see businesses can sometimes run off and build things outside of the ITs because they very clearly know their use case. They know what they're going after, and they know the end result they need to achieve and the data that they need to see to basically make that decision, right? So I always advocate working directly with the different end user teams. That said, you usually need a team, that also understands the back end side. So that's where AI, analytics, predictive analytics, Gen AI, all these things really require the harmony between the business and IT. And a lot of times there can be, politics and things going on in different enterprises between the business and IT teams, but all of that needs to be rectified because the harmony is when they can come together, right? And the users can define what they need. The business can say, hey, this is the strategic goal. This is what we need to achieve. This is the ROI I want to achieve from this model, right? Those things can be very hard to do when you're just looking at it from the technical side. So you need each other to really complete the task.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Maybe following up on this.
Yes.
I mean, it definitely depends on the industry, but what do you think, like what percentage of a company needs like really deep foundational machine learning, artificial intelligence skills, and what part of the organization has to be engaged in it somehow, so they can be consulted to build the system, and what part would be like, it's enough if they know how to use it, they know how to type in the right thing in their chatbot to go through that task. Is there like a ballpark number that you can give?
It's a good question. I think it's hard to give an exact number because some businesses may have different strategies. Some enterprises are really focused on insourcing their analytics team, right? They want to have everything in-house. They like to build it. They like to be in control and have that IP and ownership. But some enterprises, for whatever reason, they don't want to invest in building out that whole analytics department, right? It's not easy. There's a big cost. Then you need to set up, your whole infrastructure. You need training of the team, and there can be a big ramp-up curve to kind of get analytics pods working at the velocity that you want if they don't have that level of experience, right? So it can take a few years to mature an analytics team. So in that, they might partner with firms like us and all to outsource the R&D, outsource their different analytics team. But what I would say is it's critical, that the analytics org, or it could be the CTO org or the CA org. Sometimes it's with the CIO. It really depends how they roll up. But I do think there is a difference, between the analytics team and the IT team. So sometimes they get put together, but IT is really around, how do I keep the infrastructure going, versus the analytics side. You need to think, again, very closely with the users. What's the business case? What's the ROI? How do I put that analytical roadmap? So you definitely need some amount of people who are in the middle and can understand technical enough to kind of solution and do the road mapping, but then again, work with your business users. So overall, I would say we see that the technology landscape, there's a lot of low code, there's a lot of no code also emerging. So I think less and less the percentage of technical pure technical users are needed in enterprise. But that said, I think the percentage of hybrids that are both technical but also able to apply the business understanding, do those analytical use case roadmap solution ideation sessions, those are also growing. So a little bit of a shift there. But that said, if you do, companies like Google and I think the tech world, of course, they are going to be loaded up. And I think as we discussed earlier, they're looking for all the PhDs and things. But I think with masters and with the business application side, you can be a dangerous combination already. All of you guys are suited.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Any other quick questions, or we can?
So for those challenges that you mentioned before, how did you address those challenges? Maybe like a use case for us to share?
Yeah, so there's one use case where we were deploying kind of an end-to-end. There was basically some text analytics, some scheduling optimization, demand forecasting, planning, and the user interface with the user. So I think what we saw was there was a lot of challenge at first, a lot of fear, right? So as we're bringing users, stakeholders in for this human-centered design process to get their thoughts, sometimes they can feel threatened that, hey, I'm designing something now that is going to, replace my job. But in a lot of what we were doing, we were just automating all of their tedious number crunching, and there was still a role for them as that human in the loop, right? So yeah, they could do their job more efficiently, but now they could process more work. So I think there was a lot of, when people think about implementing analytic solutions, a big gap is sometimes they don't think about the change management piece, right? So you need to be thinking ahead, way ahead about the adoption, as well as driving the change management. So from the very beginning, having those conversations with your user and just understanding, hey, this is something that we want to co-create value with you, and we want your input so that when you use this tool, when you use this digital knowledge worker and you're the human in the loop, that it's useful to you, it's giving you information in the way that you like. And then I think when they see that, they get excited because they realize they're the human in the loop. They're the operators. They're the ones that are going to be looking at these insights. We're fine-tuning these insights just for them and the way they want to see them and the way they want to understand them. And once they get invested in that process, I think they get a lot more excited. So we have had many a times where we face, I think, some of those challenges, but we just try to be as transparent and as empathetic and work with them and be as clear with them and mostly educate them that in a lot of cases we're not building, solutions that are completely automating, a person out of a role. So.
Thanks for the insight. And because our cohort going to graduate at the end of this year, is there any suggestion for us as successfully graduate from this program?
Yeah. So I would say there are so many different roles now, right, that you can go into. So it's just about finding your passion and seeing what's going to get you excited, right? So when you come out of this program, for sure, you've learned so many hands-on, technical, deep programming skills, and you can be that, ML engineer, you can be the data scientist, you probably have strong data engineering skills too, you can be data engineering. You can also go into BA roles, product manager roles, analytic manager type of roles, solution innovation and ideation, strategy type roles. So there are so many possibilities and pathways for you to basically apply what you've learned in this program, and it's so fun. I truly enjoy it. For me, I think I'm blessed because I have the fortune of working across multiple industries, and it's just so fun to see the impact you can make in all these different industries. So I would say you just got to find your passion so that, it doesn't feel like work, that you can wake up and you can be excited, and that's when you're going to deliver your best, when you're actually super excited about the problems that you're solving. So I would say pick your industry and then pick your role, and sometimes it's more creative roles. I know you guys are like hardcore coding, so I don't know if everyone is giving you this advice, but I'll be that person that, I also was coding for a few years, but then I found a lot of joy and passion in the application of analytics and working with the users, designing new solutions, and really being a part of, hey, how do we shape the future of this industry? What does this process look like that doesn't exist today, but how can we basically make the world a better place with data analytics and AI? So that's what gets me excited. So I never feel like I'm working a day in my life. So I just wish that for all of you. And I know, the job market is a little tough right now. So I would say with that, it's about being persistent and being vigilant, getting out there, networking, selling yourself, and definitely from the data science mindset, talking about what you can deliver in terms of business impact, in terms of dollar value, in terms of customer satisfaction, in terms of cost savings, right? So those things are going to make you sound like a strong business-minded data scientist so that you can stand out in your interviews. Thanks, guys. Thank you. I think we'll wrap it up.
Okay, I got a privilege to announce closing of 2024 MLDS Exchange Conference, and a challenge to do it quickly enough before the rooms get empty. Yes, sir.